Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, June 16th. So this is actually part 2. So make sure you go back and watch part 1 of this week's video because it's a huge week for releases. There's over 500 albums coming out this week. I got 24 albums total to talk about across these 2 videos. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So like I said in the intro, if you haven't watched part 1 yet, make sure you go back and watch that because there's a bunch of albums coming out. There's over 500 albums coming out. If there's something I don't talk about in one of these 2 videos, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up. And of course, like always, if you're unable to get any of these or find any of these in your local brick and mortar stores, I'll put links down below. They should all be available online. So the first one on the list is one that, to be completely honest, I wasn't all that interested in when it was first announced. But as time has gone on and we've gotten closer to release date, I've heard nothing but great things about it. And I'm actually pretty interested in checking it out this week. But the first one is Yusuf Cat Stevens, King of a Land. It's his new album, 17th studio album. This is actually the 3rd album that he's done under the Yusuf Cat Stevens name. This is going to be on green vinyl. And so the cover art is done by Peter H. Reynolds, and there's a, I think it's, I don't remember how long the booklet is. It's like a 30-page booklet that comes along with it, where Peter H. Reynolds did artwork for all 12 of the tracks on this album, put it all together in a booklet. It looks like it's going to be a really cool presentation. It's going to run you about $30, which I don't think is bad for an album in what appears to be kind of like a child's kind of book. But the album has children's music and religious music influences on there. And like I said, it's been getting great reviews. I haven't been a big fan of Cat Stevens stuff that he's done over the last couple of years. He took like a big, I think it was like a 25 year gap in between releasing music. And he started getting back into releasing stuff in the 90s, kind of slowly done some stuff over the years. I really liked, what was it, T for Tillerman 2 that he did a couple years back. I really like that one. So I'm definitely interested in streaming that one and checking it out this week. You've also got Natalie Imbruglia, Left of the Middle, coming out. This is a reissue from her album, her debut album from 1997. It's going to run you about $21 online. Torn was the huge track that was on this album. And this album, I think the strength of that one release, that one song, catapulted the album. It was number 1 on the Billboard 200 here in the U.S. Sold, I think it was over 7 million copies that album sold worldwide. To be honest, though, that's the only track I've ever heard off of that album. So it's I definitely should go back and stream that one also this week and check it out. So I think this is like the 700th time the Exodus has been reissued over the last several years. But there is a limited edition version of it coming out this week. So of course this is Exodus by Bob Marley. First released back in 1977, Bob's 9th studio album. This is going to be on gold vinyl. This thing's going to run you about $70 is what it was listed for on Amazon. It looks like it's sold out on Amazon, so I'm not sure how limited it was, but it looks like it is already sold out. If you're able to get a copy of it, it's going to be kind of pricey though. Like I said, I don't know what's different between this release and the other, 1,700 copies of Exodus that's come out over the years. I know they just did, Tough Gong just did a reissue. There was the Half Speed Master that came out 2 years ago, I think. So there are other copies of Exodus that are out there that are available. But Exodus was a different kind of album for Bob. It was an album that was kind of a more down-tempo, a little more relaxed album. It came out after, it was recorded shortly after the assassination attempt on Bob. So he was definitely in a different place in his life when this album was recorded. So you've got that coming out this week. You also got Coldplay, Prospekt's March coming out. This was released back in 2008. This is an EP of 8 tracks. It's going to be released on Eco Vinyl. If you don't know Eco Vinyl, it's just a fancy word for recycled vinyl. It's going to run you about $25 online. So this has several tracks that were left over from the Viva La Vida recording sessions. The album came out I think it came out the year before this. So I think it came out in like 2007, I think. Maybe it was 2008 when that came out. But anyway, came out right around that same time. So if you're a fan of that album, you'll probably be a fan of these releases, or this release also. And this has, there's remix versions on here. There's also alternate mix tracks on this album also. It's going to run you about $25 if you're a fan of Coldplay. There's a pretty cool soundtrack coming out this week. This is Summer School, first released back in 1987. This was, it was great. I love this. It was one of those cult classic 80s movies that were really popular in the later part of the decade. But this is going to be about $34 online. This is an interesting release, though, because according to what it says online, it says that it's Danny Elfman's only score that to never be released on any format. But this is available on vinyl and CD in the 80s. So I don't know why they're saying that, unless it's like a different track listing that's on this than what was on the original release that I'm not really sure of. But this is going to be released on colored vinyl. It doesn't say what color, though. And that also includes 2 bonus tracks that were not included in the movie. I love this movie. I know it's probably been at least 10 or 15 years since I've seen it, man, but I used to watch this movie all the time when I was a kid. One of my favorite kind of crazy comedies of the 80s. And then this week you also got Savage Garden's debut album being reissued. First released back in 1997. This is a double LP. It's on white vinyl. This thing's going to run you $55 though, which I think is a lot for this release. I get it. This is the first time it's ever been available on vinyl, and it was a huge album when it was first released. But that seems really pricey for this release. This is it was one of the most successful pop debut albums, though. I think it sold over 15 million copies worldwide, which is just unbelievable. I didn't think it sold that well, but apparently there's enough of a demand on this album that they're gonna get $55 a pop for that. And then this week, I think you got a really underrated reissue coming out from the Offspring. This is Rise and Fall, Rage and Grace. First released back in 2008. It was their 8th studio album, celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. It's going to run you about $38 online. It's one LP and 1 7-inch included in this packaging. So for the 15th anniversary release for this album, they're releasing it with some reimagined artwork. There's also a lithograph for each of the 12 songs that's on the album, and then there's a 7-inch that's included with it, with 2 new live tracks on there. So for $38, I think it's a pretty good package. If you're unfamiliar with this album and you are an Offspring fan, I would definitely recommend go back and streaming it, because like I said, I think it's a really underrated album in their collection. It took them a long time to put this thing together. It was like 4 years that it took them to write and record this album. It actually did really well. It reached number 10, I think, on the Billboard 200 here in the U.S. But it was a really good release if you're unfamiliar with it. And then last on the list, there is 5 Scorpions albums being reissued this week. I think the Scorpions just reissued. I think they just did like a big 50th anniversary box set. Maybe it was a couple of years ago. Maybe I'm kind of misremembering that release. But I think they kind of excluded a lot of their earlier stuff from the 70s. So you got that all coming out this week. I think it's all on colored vinyl also. But the first one, this is Fly to the Rainbow, released back in 74, is their 2nd studio album. It's going to be on pink vinyl, newly remastered. And this is an album that's very different from the rest of the Scorpions albums. If you never listened to their first 2 albums, are very like progressive rock. They had a different guitarist. I don't remember the name of the guitarist that was involved in the first 2 albums. So it was, I think he was really kind of heavily influential on those first 2 albums, and then after that they kind of pivoted away and did more of the traditional heavy metal that you're familiar with Scorpions with. But this is going to run you about $30 online if you are interested in it. It looks like all of these are all the RCA albums. Also, I'm not sure if that's why they weren't included in that box set, but I think they were, because I think the last 2 albums I talk about were part of that box set also. So I'm not sure why they're just picking these RCA albums to reissue this week. And then the next album from the Scorpions being reissued this week, this is In Trance. First released back in 75, their 3rd studio album. It's going to be on clear vinyl. Going to run you $30 also online. And this is very different than their first 2 albums. Like I said, this is back to, or what you expect to get from the Scorpions. Very much a straightforward heavy metal album that, like I said, would kind of continue on throughout the rest of their career. It's it's newly remastered. It's one that I haven't listened to in, gosh, probably 30, 35 years it's been since I've listened to this one. So it's I definitely do need to go back. And like I said, not only with this album, but some of their other stuff from the 70s, kind of go back and kind of rediscover some of that stuff. So you got that coming out this week. You've also got Virgin Killer, first released back in 76, their fourth studio album. This one's going to be on blue vinyl. Sorry, I forgot to say that In Trance is going to be on clear vinyl. I know some people get kind of funny when it comes to clear vinyl and they don't like how it sounds, so kind of be warned on that one. But Virgin Killer is going to be on blue vinyl, newly remastered. You know, people might not know, especially if all you know is the original artwork for this album. So it's getting reissued with the alternate artwork. But if all you know is the original artwork for this album, you might think this album, at least the title of this album, means something very different. From what I read and what I understand of this album, that the title of the album is more of a reference to time being the killer of innocence. Where, like I said, if you get that if you look at the original artwork, that's not at all what you would expect them to kind of be going down with that album. But this one's gonna run you $30 also, and it like I said, it became very notorious for the album artwork. I know the band is kind of on record saying they really regret doing that original artwork, but at least they're reissuing this album with the alternate. And then the last two I got on my list are both albums that I'm pretty sure these were both part of the 50th anniversary box set when it was released. I could be wrong though. You can drop me a comment down below and let me know if I am. But the first one, this is Taken by Force, released back in 77. It was their fifth studio album. It's scoring you about $30 online. From the picture online, and I couldn't really see in the description either, I don't know if it's on white vinyl or on clear vinyl, but if somebody knows, they can drop me a comment and let me know. So this is a reissue of the 2015 remaster, and so this is the last Scorpions album to have Uli John Roth on guitar, heavily influential in the band, a great metal guitarist. His guitar playing, and really this album overall was heavily influential in the late 70s, early 80s as far as metal goes. I'm not the biggest Scorpions fan. I think this is a really great album. If you haven't listened to this one in a long time, I highly recommend going back and checking it out. It's a fantastic album. And then the last one I got on the list, this is Tokyo Tapes, released back in 78. It was their first live album. It's going about $35 online. It's on yellow vinyl. So the Scorpions actually got kind of their start in Japan, and I'm assuming that's why they chose those shows to put together as their first live album. But so the interesting thing about this release is when this was all put together and re-released in 2015, this is a reissue of the 2015 remaster. So when they re-released it in 2015, there were, I think, 3 or 4 tracks, bonus tracks, that they included in the 2015 release. This is not including this release does not include those bonus tracks. This is just, at least from what I see online for the track listing, this is the 2015 remaster minus those bonus tracks, which I think is unfortunate. If you're gonna reissue it, you might as well just do all those tracks and kind of do all one day release. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. I think there's a bunch of great stuff coming out this week. Like I said, over 500 titles. I talked about 24 of them today. So if there's something I didn't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up. So I've already got that. Of course, I got that Blink-182 reissue on pre-order. I'll stream the Queens of the Stone Age. I'll probably pick that one up. I'll probably grab that Ramones release also, just because I am a huge fan of the Ramones. There's a couple of those Elton John releases I'm interested in. I'll check out the new Cat Stevens album. Probably grab the Offspring. Like I said, a bunch of great stuff. But let me know what you guys are looking forward to. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.